who proudly claimed that their equipment was used successfully in an English robbery. This man carried out robberies for the mafia, which often either controls or has a share of the proceeds of large thefts, even from private homes.
Well, you've got to do a lot of research. First of all, you have to consider the source. That's what we call tipsters. They're the people that give you the information about the party to be robbed. You have to check him out. If he's a solid guy and his information has been good in the past, then you start to do your investigation. You know, you'll check out the family. You'll check out the house. You'll check out the type of work that the people in the house do, what their hours are, when they're home most frequently, when they're not home, what kind of restaurants they dine in, what kind of cars they drive. You get their license plate numbers. You run them through the Motor Vehicle Bureau. You get a rundown on them in case there's some other type of information that comes into play. You watch them leave the house in the morning. You watch them come home at night. You watch which bedroom lights are turned off first, which light is turned off last, which lights are left on when they leave the house, so that you know that that's their pattern. You find out about burglar alarm systems, dogs, kids. How old are they? Are they living at home? Are they in college? All this type of stuff. You make no mistakes. There's no room for error.
When you actually decide the time is right to do a robbery, what happens then?
Well, you've got to go and get your tools. Usually the tools are set aside at a certain point. You've got two cars. One man carries the tools and the walkie-talkies. He drives alone. There's got to be a clean guy, no police record. This way there's no reason for him to be stopped. And if he is stopped, it can't hold up in court because it has no police record, if should they search the car and find these tools. And then yourself and whoever else that you're working with is in another car. And then you start to make your in, which is already pre-planned. You know exactly which way you're going in and exactly where you're going. It's just a question of 4 or 5 minutes and it's finished. It's all over with.
All right, having made the in, where do you normally go to?
Directly to the bedroom.
To the bedroom. Why is that?
Because people love to be where their money is as often as they can. Whether it's jewels, coin collections, stamp collections, whatever. They want it next to them as much as possible. They don't feel secure unless it's next to them.
It was in this Vancouver building that one of the most interesting robberies in Canada occurred. A highly organized group from Montreal decided not to believe the advertising on the side of the building, which made claims of the safest vault in the West. Their assessment was correct, for the impressive-looking security proved worthless simply because the building did not have an up-to-date alarm system. The massive doors, each weighing 2 tons, proved to be useless, as did the system that required each depositor to have a second deposit box key, which was then matched to one in the vault. Of what was once the Vancouver Vault Company, there remains only the wreckage and the caretaker.
Being the largest vault robbery in Canada, this is the vaults, and as the thieves came into the vault to steal, they knocked the doors open and pulled out the drawers and just emptied it, threw it on the floor. There was millions of dollars here. I would say gold, silver, diamonds, stocks. The robbers had a real field day. They were here 3 days almost, Friday night, Saturday, and all day Sunday. And in getting into this large vault room where these deposit boxes are, they cut a hole through the wall here, 16, 17 inches thick. There was steel in it, concrete, and evidently they had some kind of a burner from Montreal.
With simple logic and refined technology, the robbers merely went in through the massive steel and concrete wall, just as they had planned in their textbook. They worked all weekend without hindrance of any alarm systems. And what they found inside was enough gold, silver, jewels, and money to fill the suitcases they had brought with them from Montreal. The true value of the loss will never be known. For among the legitimate deposits, the vault, like most vaults, contained millions of dollars hidden from such parties as the taxation department, estranged wives, and the police.
However, this is what is left of the Vancouver safety deposit vaults.
The robbery succeeded because of planning and technique, yet failed because of greed and stupidity. That night at the Vancouver airport, baggage handlers were physically unable to load the large number of heavy suitcases on the flight to Montreal. One of the cases was opened, and out spilled a fortune. Stocks and bonds are both an essential mechanism of business and an often seized opportunity for organized crime. The counterfeiting of stock and bond certificates is one of the ways that easy and illegal fortunes have been made. In other cases, companies have been formed and shares have been sold when the true value of the corporate assets is practically nothing. But the most conventional way of making illegal money from stocks and bonds is simply to steal them. One of the most fertile grounds for questionable stock activities in Canada has been Vancouver, primarily because of a historically lax stock exchange. A Vancouver man who has been involved in questionable stock activities is Joe Romano. Originally from New York, he has recently been charged with extortion after an accountant who borrowed money for 18 months was forced to pay back $33,000 on a loan of only $4,000. It is alleged that physical attacks were made on the accountant. Romano has operated such companies as Seneca Developments, whose shares rose quickly on the Vancouver Stock Exchange and then plummeted when it was found the company had virtually no assets. It now trades at a fraction of its former price, and Romano is no longer a member of the company. It was decided to use Joe Romano to illustrate the processes by which stocks and bonds circulate within the underworld. For this purpose, an actual bond was purchased. It was a bond from the Ontario California Speedway Corporation. It was planned that Romano would be told that the bond was one of many stolen from a man who could not report the theft. This man, using the false name of Frank Angelo, was brought in to carry out the scheme.
This particular bond is worth about $5,000. We're going to tell them it's the original. We're going to tell them that my people, I got 250 of these. And the way we came about them, somebody ripped one of the organized crime people off, and the guy can't report it because of tax reasons. And he wasn't supposed to have this in the first place, you know. This is worth probably, my figures, I think it's in the neighborhood of $487,000 right now. What we'll do, we'll attempt to get Romano interested in this.
To initiate the operation, Frank Angelo flew to San Jose, California, and went to this building housing a cheese company well known for its underworld ties. The owner of the firm, now under indictment for murder, is head of the San Jose Mafia. The object was to go inside posing as a buyer of cheese and then to ask to use the phone. By using the company name as a location of the phone call, it was felt that general credentials might be established if any checking was done. A call was made to Romano's luxurious Vancouver home. The number of the cheese company and of a San Francisco hotel were left with the woman who answered. Later, the return call came.
Hello.
Mr. Romano, excuse me, Mr. Angelo?
Right.
Mr. Romano's calling you collect. Will you accept the charges?
Yes, that's fine.
All right.
Yes, Joseph.
My party will accept. Will you call me back on charges? Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Hello.
Hello, Joseph.
Yeah.
This is Frank Angelo. You don't know me, but we have some mutual friends. Listen, I'm flying up to Vancouver. Could we get together for a couple hours up there? I'm going to be staying at the Bay Shore.
Sure, when are you going to be here?
Okay. I'm going to be in. I'll tell you who I know and who gave me your number and everything else when I get up there, okay?
Okay.
All right. I'll be in at, the flight is 131, CP Air, and arrives at 2:05. We're on the same time, I understand.
Yeah. When, though, I mean?
Tomorrow.
Okay, here's my problem.
Okay.
Tomorrow is,
The establishing of a general kind of credentials proved to be as important in this type of venture as in others. Romano was careful enough to ask that references be provided.
Oh, okay. But I mean, you'll have, like, people that we know each other.
Yes, yeah, I'll have the right credentials.
Okay, fine.
All right? My cousin and my cousina here in San Francisco, Sal, Ann Marina, knows one of your friends up there.
Oh, okay. Your cousin is there?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
Yeah.
And I called you from San Jose.
Well, I saw that. I got that.
The following weekend, a meeting was arranged beside the pool of Vancouver's Bayshore Inn. This was to be an introductory meeting, with only a Xerox copy of the bond being shown to Romano, who arrived to meet Frank Angelo, the supposed dealer of bonds stolen from another underworld figure who was unable to report the theft.
He then asked me to tell him everything about it. This way he knows everything, what to do with whatever we want, So I began to explain to him, Bill, that we had 250 of these munis, these money, municipal non-registered bonds, and I gave him a copy to look at. Right, we had a copy off the bond, and he looked at it briefly. He says, okay, tell me the story. I says that the bonds are, you don't have to worry about them. They're not even out on the market as being hot bonds or anything. And he says, what do you mean by that? As far as why wouldn't they be? They're numbered. I said that the bonds that were stolen from this particular man is connected with our people.
It was agreed that Frank Angelo would return to provide a sample of the real bonds. As the meeting ended, there was another significant remark from Romano.
He says, if you have a chance, is it take any problem for you or your people to, if you have to go a long ways for this? I said, no, the farther the better. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, like Europe. I said, to Europe to dump them? He says, yeah. He said, if I put you in touch with somebody in Europe? I said, fine, it's the farther away the better. I said, this way the guy won't have any inkling where they're at. And he said, well, that might be, he said, that might be feasible. His words were. I said, well, that's fine.
At intervals over several months, Romano's home and movements were carefully watched. When another meeting was arranged several weeks later, he drove to the Bayshore Inn in his Rolls-Royce, seen here proceeding toward the hotel. The purpose of the second meeting was to provide Romano with one of the real bonds. This would enable him to check their authenticity and determine if they had yet been reported stolen. Another purpose of the meeting was to negotiate a selling price for each $5,000 bond.
I gotta ask you a couple questions on this. On these things here, you know, we talked about this before, okay? I'm going to give you this one. All right? What are you going to do with it? Can I ask?
This?
Yeah, this one here.
Basically, I'm going to verify whether or not it's
Right,
a
okay.
legitimate piece of paper.
That's exactly.
And whether or not they are reported stolen. That's a very simple thing. From the standpoint of the dollars, it means fuck all to me from one point of view. Bottom line is $1,500. Top line is $2,500.
Right. There you go.
For the kind of deal we're doing, if I was going to do something, I would say out front, listen, because you've been in business before. If I'm looking to score, I'm going to say, listen, I'll tell you what, give me 10,000, give me 25,000, give me something so that I know that of my work and bullshit.
Joe, let me ask you something. How soon, if we turn it all over, how soon can I get it? What are we talking about time-wise?
From the day that, say, everything is tickety-boo, it depends on how fast you can travel, or someone can travel,
That's no problem.
to a bank out of the country and make the presentation.
What are we talking about? What part of the world?
I won't tell you now.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, no, that's all right.
I'm not going to tell you now.
Okay, that's fine.
Let's say that you would need a passport, okay? You need a passport, and that's the way it would work. I'm saying to you, it doesn't matter where it is, it would be done at a bank. It would be a simple thing of where a man walks in and makes a delivery. The bank simply says, you're correct, here you are, sir, and who do you want this made out to? And they make out either a bank draft or a series of drafts, however you want. Now, in whatever names you want, or whatever the case may be, okay? Generally speaking, it's done through a company, okay, or companies, because that way it's easy to dissipate. Some of it, sometimes it's cash, sometimes you don't get it. But it means fuck all the bank, okay?
At this point, the actual transfer of what Romano thought was a sample of the stolen bonds occurred when Frank Angelo handed it over to Joe Romano.
Can I have the file?
The giving of the bond to Romano resulted in an interesting and somewhat ironic spectacle. That of two men involved in schemes of stolen bonds, earnestly discussing the best legal wording on a receipt for a sample of those supposedly stolen bonds.
Fucking napkin. I don't care if you put on the sugar. Just say, hey, I got this from that, with this date, and that's all I want for this thing. Not for any particular reason.
No, I'm just trying to figure out how to word. Just let me explain.
Any words you want to put it in, I don't give a damn, you know? Just, here, put it on a fucking piece of paper.
No, I don't care about that. I'm just trying to figure out, okay.
Want the pen or you want
Give
pencil?
me the certificate.
Just put down number 9 bond.
Oh, yeah, just a minute.
So we know it's number 9. Ontario, number 9. That's all.
From Frank Angelo?
Put down there.
This is the receipt for that bond, written in pencil and signed by Joe Romano.
I didn't mince words with you. I said to you, listen, Frank.
At this point, the meeting ended. As they left, Romano indicated some of the lifestyle that he has come to enjoy as a result of his activities.
I told these guys to go fuck themselves more times than
Joe Romano coexists easily within the respected levels of BC society. His friends and business associates are from a wide spectrum of legitimate occupations. Included among those with whom he has socialized is the retired senior justice of the British Columbia Court of Appeal, Angelo Branca.
They must know far, far more about him than I do. Far, far more about him than I do. I have never seen anything wrong with Romano's conduct over 7 or 8 years that I have known him casually that would create any suspicion in reference to Joe other than his being a good citizen. Nothing at all.
So I mean, you would know him well enough to say you think that he is a good,
I think he's a good citizen.
He was charged on a
I think he was charged on some securities matter that's pending before the court, and I think he's charged now with extortion.
And I think he had some income tax conviction.
Yes, and I think he has some income tax conviction.
But would somebody like that, for instance, would that create, if on the bench, would that create a problem in terms of associating with him?
It depends on how you associated with him. I could see nothing wrong with going to his home with other friends, you see, and talking to him, partaking of his hospitality and things like that. Nothing wrong with that at all.
The Connections encounter with Joe Romano was ended when Frank Angelo phoned him at a later date and gave an excuse for not continuing the operation.
I live in a home that's $250,000 and the
I know
bullshit is
that.
a bullshit. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I'm not saying it to impress anybody. I'm
No,
saying it to bad. Okay, my point is that...
July 27th, 1971. This is U.S. Senator McClellan's permanent subcommittee. Vincent Teresa testifies about his loan shark operation.
What's the meaning of the word piranha?
Piranha, we named the company after one of those fish from South America, you know, the ones that eat you up as soon as you fall in the water.
Well, what?
You know, the fish that, piranha fish, that when you fall in the water, they clean you right down to your bones in a matter of a minute.
The man-eating fish.
Man-eating fish, that's it.
You think that was an appropriate name for this?
Well, we wanted to be known as a tough outfit.
That's why we named it the Piranha Finance Company. One of the guys that ran it, Pete, he was cuckoo. You know, he was a junkie, he used to take stuff, and he was always floating around here. He had to shoot him down off the ceiling once in a while. And he had this big tank with two piranhas, Pete and Gladys. It's a fact.
We used to tell our customers, if you don't pay, we'll stick your hand in.
You think they got the message?
They got the message.
One day, this kid Telayar comes in the place that owed us a lot of money and was behind his payments, and I liked him. He was a very likable guy. And kidding with him, I says, you know, you son of a... If you don't pay, I'm going to stick your hand right in there. And I did. I never thought anything would happen to him. And then a fish bit his finger off the top of it. You know, I said that in front of the subcommittee, and Jesus, it made nationwide headlines about fish eating people. It's a lot of foolishness. I've had piranhas since then, put my hand in, they never done a thing to me. I was just hungry, I guess. Or maybe like that greasy thumb he had.
But for the victims, the reality is not so amusing. Loan sharking is one of the growing areas of organized crime activities. It consists of loaning money at exorbitant interest, often to customers whom the banks would consider high risks. What you are about to hear is the actual conversation between a loan shark and his victim.
All right, I'll appreciate it very much that you loan me the $100. But what I do not understand is this. Why do you charge me $25 a week extra every time? $125, it's a charm. I could give it to you anytime. But hell, $400, $500, $600, how much you want, no, Pat?
I told you I wanted $400. I'm selling it anyways.
You're going to sell it?
Yeah. I don't want to fucking bother with this.
Well, all right. What the hell they going to do to me?
What they going to do to you?
Yeah.
I don't know. Whatever they want.
Why can't you give me some work to you?
I don't have no fucking work for you to do. I give you money. I want my fucking money. Understand?
I went to university. I studied for years. I graduated. I used to work, say, for a large company in marketing. I did doing fairly well, but at $15,000 a year wasn't that much. I was slaving, and when I saw a chance of making much more than that, I sort of gave up the other business.
This is an example of what happens to $100,000 when it is used in a loan sharking operation. These are very conservative figures, and this is a minimum return to the mob leaders for a period of only 1 year.
Now, seriously speaking, a guy could start off, say, with, say, $10,000 and can build it up to unlimited amounts, $100,000 to $200,000. It is very possible.
Very nice, and I borrowed the money. I was introduced by one guy. He said you can borrow money from him. And I borrowed money on $300 from them. And after a little while, like, they charged me interest. I didn't know, like, they could charge me interest on this money. And I was being chasing around from them.
How much interest have you had to pay on that $300 loan over the last 3 years?
I pay around $10,000 or toll.
Now, some can't pay. That happens. In, I'd say 90% of the cases, people pay and there's no problems. Occasionally, you get some guys don't want to pay. Well, then you do put pressure on a little bit. But occasionally, you have to resort to certain tactics.
You listen now, okay?
Yeah.
When I give you that fucking money, you were supposed to come and pay it. Now, you didn't pay it, you owe $400, you understand?
How much?
400.
All right.
Now, you don't tell me to give you work to pay back fucking money. I'm selling the account. Somebody else will go up there. You won't know them. And you'll see if you like borrowing money and not paying.
Well, all right. And you sell the account to somebody else. Okay.
Now, if your windows get blown out tonight, that's your fault.
If they blow out, well, all right, then it's my fault.
Okay?
All right.
If your kids get hit with the bullets, that's your fault.
Don't touch my kids. You touch my kids, Pat, I'm telling you right now, I'm going after you.
Yeah?
You yourself. That's right.
That someone is going to go up there, and there's going to be trouble.
What?
That someone is going to grab you, and there's going to be trouble.
This man is entering the office of a Montreal notary. His name is Dominic Tamburini, and he has come for one simple purpose: to extort money from the notary. Unaware of a hidden camera, Tamburini will tell the man that he represents a woman who has lost money after this man's bankruptcy. He will demand that the money be paid to him. Tamburini is an associate of the Montreal Mafia. He has often been seen in the barbershop of Nicola Diorio, the longtime lieutenant of the Cotroni family. It is from this location that Diorio runs his criminal operations for Cotroni.
At the present time, I can't do anything at all. What the future will be, maybe be better, you know, for everybody. But at the moment, I got nothing. I cannot give what I don't have, you understand? And your friend here, he comes and he threatens me. I mean, just threatening, that doesn't produce money, eh? You got to have it in order to do it.
You
and
cannot.
It's not legal, no.
Listen, you cannot.
It's easy to say, but it's not easy to do, you know.
So what do you want? You said you got to see the guy. You didn't see the guy last night.
It's not there.
When do you want to see the guy?
I'll find out as soon as I can get hold of him. You know, he doesn't keep regular hours, eh? He doesn't.
Yeah, but you can see him if you want. So.
Yeah. Anyways, I've got some work to do, you know, and I can't work, you know. This takes my mind off my work, you understand? If I can work, then I feel better, and I can
listen, Mr. Miller.
Get on my feet.
Listen, me, I got nothing left. I'm telling you many times. So once somebody got nothing left, it's ready to do anything. Then it doesn't matter what's going to happen.
Yeah, well, we can't
you
help that
know
in life, eh? I mean, in life that happens.
You can know that. If you say like that, well, keep yours like that. I won't come back here no more. I feel lose everything. That's up to you. But if you say to me, come back tomorrow, or Friday, or this and that, I can do something for you, that's okay. But don't let me down like that. With all your money you got to your wife and your son, you can do nothing from me.
Well,
you can do nothing.
You don't know what my wife's got. You don't know what my son's got. My son works 60 hours a week. This is my work. Is a goddamn liar. She's a damn liar. You
I gave her the money. She said you got all the money from her. Your son and your wife got everything.
Yeah. You believe her, eh? You believe her?
Nothing to do with me.
Yeah, you believe her? I don't even know what to tell you, you know.
You stay here to understand what you, because what the money, somebody else's money, I don't give a damn. It's me, I got.
Yeah, I know it. That's your problem.
5 weekends, years and years I go with the same fuckers who can dress.
Tamburini leaves and returns with another man, Leslie Coleman. Coleman has been used before in beatings and strong-arm tactics for the Mafia. He was used by the Montreal mob in 1973 to intimidate those who opposed their attempt to control the illegal gambling in Ottawa. Coleman was also used by the mob in the days when the powerful Montreal Mafia figure Louis Greco was alive, and after Greco's death in 1972, Coleman quickly allied himself with Paolo Violi. He is seen here leaving Violi's coffee bar.
Don't say no, never mind we got smart. We don't got smart like you. You understand? Like you do.
You come up with some fucking money today. I told you this is the deadline. Wait, let me make this phone. Don't waste your time with this motherfucker. We're gonna bust his fucking head. Don't waste your time with him. Don't waste your time. Huh? Don't waste your time with him. I know how to handle it.
Okay, boys, I'll see you again.
What'd you say?
I'll see you again someday.
Don't waste your time with him. He's being cute. He's making me get up, run here, and this and that. He's being smart.
We're not trying to be smart, boys. So, you know the position. You don't take a man who's got nothing and squeeze. What are you squeezing? What are you squeezing?
You got plenty of fucking money. You took from us.
I didn't take a cent from you. I don't even know you.
You took from him. You took from him.
I don't know your name. You didn't tell me your name, eh? I don't know who I'm talking to.
You tell me you want to give me the money, you keep me running here and there. That's all right. Go ahead and play your game. Well, I'll play a fucking game with you. That you won't even know nothing about. I'll play a fucking game with you. Don't let him waste your fucking time. Make me get up in the morning. I thought you was a German. I thought you was for real. I didn't know you was gonna bullshit me like that. You're gonna wish you had to come up with that money. Don't waste your time. I'm gonna touch his fucking head. I'll go right to his fucking house tonight. I'll show him how to
So what do you want to say?
Nothing. I got nothing to say. I got nothing to say, boys.
You got nothing to say?
I got nothing to say. If that's the way he wants to cover, I got nothing to say.
Yeah, you don't cover that. Give that money.
Yeah.
Maybe you need, you and all your family, maybe you need for funeral party. And we'll do. Yeah. That's all I can tell you. And we'll do, eh? Yeah. You better believe we'll do.
Yeah, okay.
All your Jews, nothing is believe, eh? But you can believe. I do. I got full up here at night, too.
The threats of future violence that ended the meeting were never carried out, unlike so many other cases where the mob pays a visit. Outside, Coleman and Tamburini walked into a reception from the Montreal City Police. They were arrested and pleaded guilty to extortion.
It always depends upon circumstances, you know. If they're going to kill a guy, first there's a reason. I mean, what is it that he done? Usually that determines how they kill him. Sometimes circumstances don't let you do that. I mean, they can't always make it a ritual like they like to, see. They like to kill and perform a ritual, you know what I mean? It's a technique. They've mastered the art of murder. For example, a guy by the name of Johnny Camilleri, there was a split in the outfit in Buffalo, you know, and he was behind it all, this, that, and the other thing. So on his way to a place that he frequented, it was his birthday, as a matter of fact, and they were having a little party for him, you know. And I'm sure there was somebody behind that little maneuver. They shot him to pieces, you know, right at the door, just as he went to walk in.
Who are the killers? What are they like, and just how prevalent were they?
I want to start, you have to excuse me, I don't want to start naming no names when it comes to any murder or anything. Because the next thing you know, I'll be in front of a grand jury for indictment. I can't do that. I'll tell you what they are. A stone killer is a guy that the mob will call up and say, look, we want you to go kill This Frenchman is directing their show. And they don't ask no questions or nothing. What's his name? Where can I find him? And they'll stake you out for a few days, and one way or the other, if they have to lay in a bed of rattlesnakes, they'll get you. Don't make it sound like a Western cowboy outfit. They will get you. Whether they got to hit you in the face with a baseball bat, like an old friend of mine, Pro Leonard, used to do, or whack you over the head with a club, or a knife, or a gun, or whatever. But they'll get you. And they'll take all this sweet time, but when it's done, it'll be done professionally. There won't be anyone chasing them down streets or anything like that. It'll come off just as smooth as silk.
When these people have to kill, does it work on them? Do they have nightmares, or do they regrets?
What are you, crazy? Regrets? What are they going to regret? If you even show the slightest weakness when it comes time to kill a guy, when you go on the score to kill that guy, they'll kill you. So what regret?
For the mob, death is in a curious way a time of importance, a ritual of great show and circumstance. For in a mentality founded on fear and power, vast funerals are the ultimate unspoken reminder of those qualities.
Basically, it's like a large corporation with department heads all over the country and all over the world, for that matter. And naturally, you have to show your loyalties to somebody. And presumably, you have to show your loyalties to a certain man. And when you don't, that man gets a little angry with you and they spank you in a hard way.
Well, let me clarify something for you. When you say involved in murder, you don't go to a made guy and say, listen, I want so-and-so bumped off. Here's 5,000, 10,000 or whatever. Because he'll tell you, yeah, sure, we'll take care of it. He'll take your money. And when you come around in a short time thereafter, he'll give you a slap in the face and tell you get lost. What are you going to do about it? See? But they'll murder their own people. Or people who are on the fringe. See? People that they deal with daily. Armed robbers, burglars, arsonists, gamblers, even soldiers. Once in a while, a lieutenant, a corporal. And when they murder a guy, they murder him a certain way to send a message to other people.
What way?
Well, in the case of a stool pigeon, they might cut your penis off and stick it in your mouth. Maybe you thought you was a tough guy. They love to put a rope around your neck and tie it to your feet. And then when they let go of your feet, you slowly choke yourself to death. And they pull your pants down and leave you laying there somewhere in the street to show that you're a punk. Sometimes they kill you with an ice pick, too. That's, certain guys, that's their favorite weapon, is an ice pick, you know. They like to take a guy and hang him on a meat hook, you know, and then just stick him with the ice pick. One guy made a crack one time. He says, hey, when I get through with this guy, we'll shove the holes in his mouth. He'll make a beautiful lawn fixture. Be sprinkling all. You know what I mean? And they laugh about it. They like to see you squirm. They like fear. They thrive on it. They like to prove to themselves what men they are.
Have you ever seen any of these atrocities?
No comment.
But listen, when the time comes, they'll get me. Eventually. If they don't, something else will.